I used to say, you know, my husband comes first, then my kids, then me. I was very committed to that, felt very responsible for my kids and a husband. But I just found it wasn't enough for me to make my life interesting, and that I really needed something else. And I found it.
I remember her at one point telling me that she was so unhappy. She had 4 children, a very full life, probably not 1 minute to spare in her daily routine, but just kind of unhappy. And she went to see a therapist at the time, trying to figure out how to move beyond this unhappiness. And the therapist, a man, had said to her, you know, there's something wrong with you, that you're not satisfied. You have a husband, you have 4 children, that's your lot in life, and you should learn to be satisfied with that, which, you know, today we're horrified at, but that was the way it was for women. So I don't remember any of that from that period. I remember learning that much later, but I do remember she was home and not especially happy.
She was really looking to carve out something for herself. I think she had a very busy family life, a very involved life with her husband's business, politics, so many different things that the family was involved in. And I think she was carving out a niche for herself.
This business, I think my husband kind of was in shock. He didn't expect to take it, for me to take it so seriously.
She's part of that generation that made a women's movement that was reading, you know, Betty Friedan's book and The Feminine Mystique, where many women were feeling they didn't want to just stay at home and go to the bridge club, that they needed to do something substantive. Once she started developing these series of galleries, she had her own thing, and she was doing it herself, and she was making all the choices, you know, choosing the artists and choosing how to do things, and no one was doing it for her. I mean, up until a couple years ago, that was her life for 50 years.
It was always really interesting for me to see how she balanced all of those demands. It's a lot to be running a business and have all these things going on with family, and it really was a great example for me as I started to have children, and as I mentioned before, building this really interesting life, being able to balance those things together. And that's something that I've really come to appreciate the older I get, how important that is to have balance in your life, but to have more than just one or the other, to be able to combine those things and have it all work. And I try to do the same.